families look like they're this big cohesive bond, and because the kids have such hectic schedules, your lives are built around the children and their schedules, and then the kids leave and they go to college or they go to live their life, and you look at the person next to you and you're like, I think I like you that much. As a matter of
Or
fact,
who are
you
you?
aren't that attractive. Like, you don't support my dreams. It's like you really don't know that person. You know them as a parent. Hey guys, this is Aisha Shelton.
And this is Kevin Shelton.
Welcome back to Marriage and Real Estate.
Welcome back to another episode.
Yay. We made it.
Every episode we make it.
We made it. We made it back.
Oh, were we not going to make it back?
I mean, we don't know what the Lord got in store for us, We made it back.
So this week, how to balance parenting and marriage. I know you're not enthusiastic about this topic, right?
Why would I not be enthusiastic, Kevin?
I don't know. Maybe because you tired of these kids. You ain't tired of this marriage.
I'm not tired of this marriage, and I am not tired of these kids. I love them. Mm-hmm. And you.
You want to have another? No?
No, sir.
No more babies?
No, thank you.
No more babies in our. We do so good,
It's
though.
a really sweet offer, and you make really beautiful children.
Can we practice?
I'm down to practice.
All right, there we go. That's a win. That's a win, people.
Counting his wins.
All right. No, so how to balance parenting and marriage. So I think that it's kind of hard for folks without kids to get it until they have kids, and then it's hard for folks with kids to understand the people who don't get it because they don't have kids. You know what I mean?
No,
it's like
I
almost
vividly remember what it was like before I had children.
Oh, you don't? Maybe you haven't had children long enough. I don't remember what it was like to not have children.
Vividly remember. I can literally detail out what my life looked like before there were children in it.
It's funny. I was talking to my cousin, and he was talking about how he gets it now and he ain't get it before. He's like, man, he used to be like, man, I got these kids, and such and such is sick, and this and that. He's like, man, I ain't get it. He's like, now every time his baby cough, I'm like, God damn, what's another thing? Like, we got to go to the doctor. We got to go to this. He's like, I get it now, man. I get it how you could be like distracted by kids. Yeah. So
yes,
it's a lot. And this past week we had sick baby. Mm-hmm. The 4-year-old is ultra needy these days, and then the 13-year-old is on her 13-year-oldness. So
she's really not that bad.
She's not that bad, but she's just like full in the teenage mode, I think.
Yeah.
It's interesting because now that she has a phone, which is really convenient, I have to say I wasn't like...
He was anti-phone.
I was anti-phone.
Poor girl was 12 years old, didn't have a phone, and if it were up to Kevin, she wouldn't have a phone.
I see a lot of bad examples of children with phones.
Shout out to Liz for getting her a phone, because bro. Thank you.
Her mama definitely got her a phone,
yes.
and look, I'm happy she has a phone. Other than the times that she texts me stupid stuff like, Daddy, will you bring me Chick-fil-A at school?
Wait a minute. Or she texts me, hey, you're awake, right? If you don't come up these stairs and talk to me, ma'am.
What did she say? She texted me something the other day. It was really ignorantly phrased. I don't know what it was, but it was like...
She said something about, what is
you? You is wake. You is
something
wake.
Like that.
I was like, what?
Don't do it.
And she sends me TikTok videos all the time now.
Does she?
That's like a whole thing.
She don't send me TikTok videos.
I can forward them to you.
No. I want her to.
They're all anime based.
Oh no, don't. She knows.
We share the anime though. She's in the anime, so it's like a whole thing. So no, how do we balance parenting and marriage? I think for a long time, especially having a child and being a single father, I was like all about my daughter and all about my parenting life. I was very committed. I was like, it's gonna be me and my baby and whatever. And when we got together, I had to learn that the marriage comes first.
How'd you learn
that? By my wife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. See, my wife taught me that because I was putting my child on a pedestal.
Not necessarily. I wouldn't call it putting it.
Well, I used to baby the hell out of her though.
You did, but you put what I feel like is too much stock in the parent-child relationship, because if our goal as parents is to create productive citizens and release them out into the world,
Yeah.
right? So you are building everything around this person that will be released,
Yeah.
right? So that's
And I
the
think a
way.
lot of marriages do that, right? You concentrate on the children because it's a crutch. So you don't have to work on the marriage because you have this focus point of the
Mhm,
kids.
mhm.
And it's like, we staying together for the kids. Are we doing this for the kids? And what you end up with is once those kids are gone, you don't have anything to come back to, nothing
Or the
bonding you.
holding you together,
Yeah.
right? And I've seen that before too. I've seen where, families look like they're this big cohesive bond, and because the kids have such hectic schedules, your lives are built around the children and their schedules, and then the kids leave and they go to college or they go to live their life, and you look at the person next to you and you're like, I think I like you that much. As a matter of
Or
fact,
who are
you
you?
aren't that attractive. Like, you don't support my dreams. It's like you really don't know
Yeah.
that person. You know them as a parent. You don't know them as your spouse and your
And your
partner.
partner, yeah.
Yeah. And we have many more years to be married,
Mhm.
right? So we have no idea what that looks like for a couple that is bound by marriage and also in business,
Mm.
right? And if we could get to business, that we lose our marriage, but we're very intentional.
But I think we have a lot of couples that we can look at that have been married 20 years, like, Courtney and her husband, and even
On Angie and Uncle Michael.
an Angie and Uncle
Mhm.
Michael, the Taylors, some of our mentors who are very much married and very much in business together,
Yeah.
and have been for a long time. And I think basically doing what works, right? What we see that does work, and tailoring it to our marriage and
Mhm.
what our strengths are together, then we can have a recipe for success.
Yeah. So the one thing about me is that I preach this to my husband, and I preach this to the members of my real estate team, and to anybody who'll listen, to be quite honest. Like, there is no secret to success. It's done. A successful marriage, a successful investing career, a successful business. It has been done. So if it's already been done, all you have to do is follow the formula,
Don't
right?
reinvent the
You
wheel.
don't have to reinvent the wheel, follow the formula. So it's the same thing for marriage, and it's the same thing for real estate, and it's the same thing for marriage and real estate.
Yeah.
There are successful marriages and successful couples who do real estate together or business together, and the formula is out there. And so all you have to do is follow the formula. Like, if you're struggling, just know you're not the only one struggling, but also there's a solution, because somebody out here in the millions of people that are married and do business together have found a solution. So you just have to go find it.
And I think throwing the parenting in there is a much more variable thing, because the one thing you can't control is children, right? We know, we've seen examples of couples who pour, very positive things into their children, and their children still end up
Mhm.
every which way, right? Because at the end of the day, you and your partner can intentionally focus on your marriage and focus on what you want to put into your children, but what your children decide to do, it's up to their devices. So I think that a part of balancing the parenting and marriage is realizing that the parenting, you have to not take your hands off, but release yourself from the outcome. Because at the end of the day, when your children grow up and you do release them out into the world, they're their own
It's
people.
free will,
Yeah.
right? Just like we have free will, they have free will too. And it's like Antonique said, the couple that we were with in
Mhm.
Dallas, right? She said, when you put on the lens that your job is to raise them to be productive citizens of society, right? It kind of changes the way you approach parenthood, right?
Mhm.
And so I know for me, it's very easy for me to get very lax in parenting, right? I'm like, okay, here's the tablet, and this is what we're having for dinner. Put those nuggets in the oven. Let's eat some nuggets for dinner and some veggies. It's really quick. It's not intentional. And I'm always recalibrating, because I fall into what I like to call the lull of parenting. And then every once in a while, I'm spurred to be intentional about several things, to be intentional about my marriage, to be intentional about my parenting. And I think San Antonio this weekend that I took with my team member Malika really helped me to recalibrate and say, what intentions am I setting for my marriage, and what intentions am I setting for myself as a parent, and what do I want to impart upon them?
No, I like that. I think that um you said the you have to intentionally refocus and reset.
Mhm.
I think that across the board, you always have to do that, right?
Absolutely.
Because as the children grow, it changes. I remember when Kayla was very young, I had a plan and I had our schedule was this, and then as she got older, all that stuff kind of went away. It
Mhm.
became invalidated.
Mhm.
Um, and you're the one who really taught me to be able to pivot, even with Kayla, because there was a time that I was stuck in where she was at 5,
Mhm.
and then I had to learn, okay, here she is at 7, and by the time I learned here she is at 7, here she is 9.
9, right.
And then now at 13, I'm like, you know what? I take my hands off. She gonna be what she gonna be. So
No,
I'm no longer holding her to the no, no, that's not.
I
I'm
see what you're saying. I know what you're
Yeah,
saying.
I'm just saying I'm no longer trying to make her into this little box. Uh, I'm kind of meeting her where she is and then steering her in the right direction. It's like the phone. She got a phone. I can't go, you can't have a phone
Mhm.
now because she already has a phone. Now
Yeah.
I can steer her in the right direction, and I try to do that. So now it's like instead of fighting the wave, I'm going with the ocean. And my wife taught me that.
Your wife is so proud of
She's
you. Oh
amazing.
my
My wife is
God.
amazing.
I am just like, who are you? I love you.
Hey, that's the marriage part.
It
But see,
is.
if you're concentrating on getting better, the one thing about me is I get better. I'm like wine. I get better.
X,
And
you do.
so as long as I concentrate on getting better, 1% progress annually compound, and I'm good. I'm Gucci.
Can I get that same grace? Ooh, 1%
I am working on it.
annually.
I am working on it. I am getting 1% better even with you in this marriage. I'm
Uh,
getting over 1% better.
agreed. Agreed. You are.
You just look so beautiful. I
Thank
just want to say that.
you. Don't make me all shy. I appreciate that.
But no, so yeah, you know, it's honestly exciting because you're watching um it's not just your babies, but people. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So as they do grow into who they want to become, it's almost you got a front row seat to see this magic. You know what I mean? And you do get to steer and you get to whatever, but it's
Right.
separate from your marriage because these are outside entities. They're a product of your marriage,
Mhm.
but they're not your marriage. So, you're my partner. And I tell our children that, like, my only teammate is this one right here.
That part.
Like, you ain't my teammate. You're my
You're
child.
my kid.
But we ain't on the same team. You on my team.
Right.
And me and her are the team captains. You on
Mhm.
our team. So there's a point where you're gonna get on and off this team, but this is our team. So having that solidified in our marriage makes us stronger parents because we can fill in the gaps for each
Agreed.
other.
Agreed.
And then even on the parenting side, it also gives you a clear line of, I guess, not succession, but a clear line of what defines the roles in your relationship, right? You're not trying to be your children's friend.
Right.
You're trying to be your children's parent.
Yeah.
And that helps a lot because when the rubber meets the road or they conflict, you can go, here's the fine line and here's, my partner backing me up and this is what our household stands on. And then children got to play by those rules. So,
And we talk a lot about intentional parenting, but you also have to be intentional with your marriage
yeah.
as well, right? And every marriage has their own like weak spots. Period. Like there is no perfect marriage.
Not at
There
all.
is something that the couple that you admire, if you're sitting back admiring Kevin and Aisha, trust me, we have our own challenges
Yep.
that we face within our marriage. And
Every day.
understand that whatever your challenge is, while it may be different from somebody else's, so you can't say, well, Mark and Keisha don't have these problems. Well, that's not Mark and Keisha's problem.
But Mark
But
Gish
what it
got
but
whatever they
Mark and
got.
Keisha has a problem with something. You know what I'm saying? So, and so I don't know who Mark and Keisha is, but if you out there. But truly, truly. So even when, and if you don't mind me sharing, not necessarily any details, but even when Kevin would compare, like, oh, well, people don't have these kind of problems. And I was like, okay, look, this is our problem. But somebody else's problem, another couple's problem, may be finances, right? You might have somebody that brings in a good amount of money, and then the person who doesn't bring as much to the table, maybe they're the the spendthrift and they
Mm-hmm.
spend all of the money, right? That's a big deal for them. If you talk to that couple, that they about to divorce because
No,
of
that's
this
true.
money stuff. So know that there's always going to be something. And as long as we're working on something together, period, then, and I imagine for the rest of our lives, there'll be something that we're
I
working
think that's
through.
what makes it fun. Now it's frustrating as hell. Let me say that it's
Okay.
not without
Call it
frustration.
fun when we're going through it. I'm be
No,
like,
I can
isn't this
call it
fun?
fun when we're sitting apart from it because going through it, you know, and we have our own struggles. And for me, the struggles that we have, and I'll be very, very candid, I hurt my feelings. I'd be like, oh no, this is, and what you always put in perspective is somebody out there has another struggle that maybe you don't have. So what it teaches you is gratitude, right? So I'm like, why would you do this to me? And it ain't about me.
And
And I take it
evaluation.
personal, and it's not
But
personal.
that's the other thing, right? Like when we take it personal, if you were to take your feelings out of it and evaluate it and say, does my spouse really want to hurt me?
Yeah.
Like, does my spouse have ill intention? Now, pause. If your spouse does have ill intention, that's different. But you're very clear that I have no intention on hurting you. Now, how it plays out, does it hurt you? Yes, but am I setting out to be hurt you? Am I setting out to
That's the
hurt you?
thing that always brings me back to center, because I've experienced a marriage with somebody with intentions to hurt me
Mhm.
and was successful, right? Like somebody who woke up every day with the intention to speak negatively, do harm, and hurt me. And I experienced that. So this ain't that. So I'm grateful.
Okay.
Go ahead. Say
You
say
know I
your
gotta say it.
dispelling thing. Go
And you
ahead.
know that I have to say it. I was not a part of that marriage.
That is
So
true.
I
You weren't.
cannot speak on it as if I was in it. But I fundamentally believe that, and are there people who mean harm to people? Yes. But I also think that I'm always looking for the reason why. Like maybe that person was hurt.
No, sure. Hurt people definitely hurt
maybe
people.
that person had some grievance that they had that was with you that they felt like, whatever the case may be. I put on two different hats. I go, this is how I see it, and then I think about it, how does this other person see it too? And it's all, we go through that, we talk about this too, and only in our business and in our marriage, it's all feedback. It's all like, okay, hey, this is not working. What can we do different? Sometimes that different is we treat each other better, or we go to therapy, or maybe we just need some downtime together. And other times that different is we don't work well together. We should go our separate ways. But it's just feedback.
No. And there's a third part in there is sometimes I want to hurt you because I can. And that's one of the areas that you selectively cut out
But
of
here's what
life.
but also I want to hurt you because I can. Once I identify that you want to hurt me because you can, then I have a choice to make. I can stay here and be hurt, let you hurt me, or I can walk away from the hurt.
No,
That's a
I'm
choice.
not. I'm not arguing. I mean, hence why we're married right now, because I made a choice.
Praise the
But
Lord.
what I'm saying is, you have to. You made the statement of, if your spouse does intentionally want to hurt you or cause harm to you, right? So all I'm saying is those situations do exist where,
Agreed.
you know, if
Yes.
you have a spouse, you know, beating your ass or something, like if there's some intentional abuse, then that needs to be treated separately. We're talking in the realm of two people who, you know, despite their flaws, want to be together, work actively
Absolutely.
together, right? So
Absolutely.
we're
That
always
is.
speaking in the same in the frame of mind of people who are married, who want to be married, and who are working on having the best marriage, right? This whole
Excellent.
podcast is framed around that.
It is. It is. And let me be very clear about that too. This podcast is for people who are married, who want to be married, who like being married. Because the other thing that we know is, if we are not in sync, and
Mm-hmm.
this is not just a Kevin and Aisha, if we as married people are not in sync, then the success of your marriage and your real estate business will be affected by it,
1,000%.
impacted by it negatively, right? And so
And same thing with your parenting too.
facts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
So like, if you either trying to make it work in all areas or you not. Because I think that people think that you can try in one area, and what you realize is everything's interconnected.
Mhm.
It's very hard to be a fantastic parent while having a horrible marriage because one will affect the other. It's the same thing.
In
If you have a
business.
horrible marriage, it's very hard to be, or, if you are a horrible parent and one person, wants to be a good parent, it's very hard to have a good marriage because it's going to create conflict.
Same thing in business, right? If you have a tumultuous um, marriage that ports over, you work together in business, it ports over in business. But I mean, even from your job, right? When you going through it in your marriage, your work suffers, period. And not like you underperform. Some people do underperform, but there are people that are high performers that can still perform, but still your level of work, the performance that you would have
Hmm.
had you had harmony at home would be greater if it were not.
And here's the beauty part of it. And this is a kind of a wrap up statement. The beautiful part of life, right? Life is very dynamic.
Mhm.
So you can have a strength and a beautiful relationship with each other in one of these areas and not have to have the other part of it.
Mhm.
You can have a beautiful marriage and not be in business together.
Absolutely.
You can be amazing parents and not have to be married. And you can have business and marriage. Maybe you don't have kids, or you have,
Mhm.
a successful parenting relationship, a successful marriage, but y'all can't work together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It really just depends. And the idea that comes to mind is Jeff Bezos and his ex-wife, right? Now they were married for a long time, but what they found is that the marriage wasn't working for them.
Mhm.
But if you look at the numbers and look at she still lets him control her stock options in Amazon.
Mhm.
So there's a level of trust there in business
Mhm.
that does no longer exist in the marriage.
Yeah.
And they have kids together, right? So they might have the parenting part and the business part together and decide that the marriage doesn't work.
Right.
And you see some other relationships where, they might have the marriage part and say, drop dead, we can't be in business together. It don't work when we're in business together and we need to do our own separate things.
Yep.
And you see that every day. So, it's not a zero sum game. I think that people got to find what works for them in their life. And once they figure that out, play to your strengths.
Agreed.
No, so no, I like this topic.
This was fun.
Awesome. So
It's
this
just
is
y'all having the opportunity to send it and have conversation. It's just that time where we go, oh yeah, we should talk about that. Not we should talk about it on the podcast, but we have a fire conversation, Kevin and I, and then go, man, that should have been a podcast episode. So this
that's
was
true.
totally one of those fire conversations that
No, 1,000%.
happens to be a podcast episode.
Well, this is the Marriage and Real Estate Podcast. This is Kevin,
And Aisha.
and we out.